We find that in Acts chapter 9, verses 36 through 43. Acts chapter 9, 36 through 43. So this morning we come back to our study of the book of Acts. We've been out of it for a couple months. As we do so, I was reminded of a story that was told about the great reformer John Calvin. And John Calvin was in Geneva as a pastor of the church there, often referred to as the pastor of Geneva. After being there for some time, the city leaders began to take exception with Calvin over his preaching. They didn't like his preaching through the Bible, verse by verse, chapter by chapter. They didn't like sometimes the way he applied the Bible to city leaders and how they could better lead. So it's eventually led the politicians to get together and decide to kick Calvin and his family out, not only from the church, but from the city. So imagine, here you are, you're just trying to pastor a church, and the mayor and the town council and the county council get so mad at you, they say, not only do we want you out of church, we want you out of the county. Get away from us. And that's what happened to Calvin and his family. So they ended up going to Strasbourg, France for about 3 years. Well, over those 3 years, the city leaders began to hear back from people in the community, began to hear people from the church, began to realize the error of their ways. And so they sent a letter to Calvin. So will you please come back? And Calvin had to think about it, had to pray about it. And he did so, but he did so reluctantly. He comes back and he finished out his ministry there. I tell you this story for this reason. His last Sunday, therefore, he was exiled. He was going through a sermon on the book of Psalms. Finished it up, gave the benediction, was kicked out that week. 3 years later, he comes back. His first Sunday in the pulpit, he picks right up with the next psalm and keeps going. No introduction,